Hey guys, it's Danny. Alrighty, today we're gonna discuss a little bit about vandas, and more specifically some vandas that I had on my wish list for a lot of time. There were three vandas always on my wish list for a few years already. There was the Vanda denisoniana, which this year I acquired, given I was actually looking for the denisoniana orange, but I just happened to acquire mine at a very decent price. The flowers are creamy yellow and super fragrant, so I'm really excited and happy for the one that I have. I am still looking for the orange denisoniana. So this was the first species on my wish list. The second one is the tricolor, which we're gonna talk about today because I finally have the tricolor as well. And the third one is the sanderiana, which I'm afraid will be a little bit harder to obtain, at least in a mature size. And with the sanderiana, yet again, I do want to have a few multiple varieties, but I am not picky. Whatever comes first at a decent price, I'm gonna purchase it. So one down, the denisoniana. The second one down, the tricolor. Now, a while back I made a video with my tricolor order, the seedling that I purchased, which arrived dead pretty much. So it was pretty funny that one of the wish list vandas arrived to me dead. I don't usually receive dead orchids. That orchid was purchased from Orchid Garden in Poland, so I wrote to them and they were happy to send me a replacement. And behold, the replacement looks fantastic. Look at this. So this is the Vanda tricolor variety suavis. It is pretty much a seedling. It's not the tiniest seedling you've ever seen, but it's definitely not mature, and it does have quite a few years until it reaches maturity. But it does have a nice root system, a new root that is growing here, and the orchid herself is not super tiny, but yeah, I will have to have some patience with this one. But as you can see, I've already put it in a sort of a pot that would act like a basket, since I don't have baskets. Put a few strains of microfiber just to maintain that humidity a little longer, since my climate is just so warm at the moment. And I'm keeping this one hanging by the southern window, which is filtered with a sheer curtain, pretty much where my other vandas are. This orchid does require quite a lot of light, so my southern window is the best location for this one. However, it would appear that I received, actually from one of you lovely people, from Jessica in Germany, another tricolor. Now with the tricolor, there is a little bit of confusion, I feel, at least I'm confused. So the orchid that I just showed you, the seedling, is the Vanda tricolor variety suavis, and this is only the Vanda tricolor. Now I'm not entirely sure what the difference between them is, because if you check the orchid species website, you will see there's a Vanda suavis. It's not a Vanda tricolor suavis, and if you find the tricolor, you will see it's also a synonym with the Vanda tricolor variety suavis. So at this point, I'm not entirely sure what the difference between them is. If you look for pictures, you will see some tricolors have a little bit of a yellow pattern on their flowers, while the suavis usually is more white. There might be a slight difference between them, but right now I really cannot tell you what that is. So this appears to be the pure tricolor, which is wonderful. Being that these are my absolute favorite vandas, I absolutely don't mind to have multiple varieties of one, and I will love them all the same. So today we're gonna take care of this Vanda tricolor, which is mature, and hopefully you can appreciate the leaf span. One of the leaves is just as big as my how do you call this part? Forearm, from my palm to my elbow. That's how big a leaf is. So if you consider the whole span, yeah, it's 50 centimeters or something. You can see it already had a flower spike spent here, so it is mature. And because the flower spike is quite low on the plant, there is a chance this orchid might still bloom this year, this summer for me. Hopefully, I really hope so, because I had such a nice surprise with the other one, with the denisoniana. She has one of my absolute favorite fragrances in my entire collection. It's a personal thing, but for an orchid which has spent 3 years on my wish list, finally to have her, to see her and to smell her and not be a disappointment due to the high expectations that I had, you know, it's a big deal for me. So there we go. That's why I'm extremely excited for the tricolor as well. But as you can see, she is potted in bark. And this is not a medium that works all that great for me in my environment and for my vandas. I cannot say I am a fan of organic medium. I would really just like to have my vandas almost bare rooted. I do put a little bit of microfiber, sometimes synthetic, You might see, I think one of my vandas still has synthetic, so just a piece of material that keeps humidity around the roots, but other than that I like to keep them bare rooted and with as much air and ventilation as possible. And of course I don't like to use organic things that need replacing every X amount of years, so today we are going to repot this orchid, kind of. We will remove this bark and transform one of my pots into a basket. Alrighty, let's get to work. Alrighty, so when I say repotting, I don't necessarily mean repotting in the sense that we will not be putting any medium inside this pot, it will just act as a basket. I also don't consider the few strains of microfiber or synthetic medium. They're just something to keep humidity. If you want the organic version of it, maybe Spanish moss could do the same thing, and it looks pretty nice. So the first thing that I want to do is, of course, remove this Vanda from her pot. And I think this will be slightly tricky because we have a root coming from these drainage holes, and I would rather massacre the pot than the root system. So let's see. Yeah, okay, it will be hard for this root to come out, so I will just go ahead and cut the pot and just free that root from the drainage hole. Okay, so actually what I did was to just enlarge in this drainage hole, and now the root completely fits, so I can just pull it up, being careful of course. And there we go. I managed to save the pot as well. So at this point we can see we have quite a lot of roots that are circling. This is how they grow inside the pot, and we also have quite a lot of bark. What I like to do before I wet the bark is just remove the excessive pieces that are not attached to roots. I don't find wet bark easy to work with, it tends to stick. So as much as possible, if I can, I will just remove whatever pieces of bark are not attached while they are dry, and whatever is attached, I will just remove them after I soak the orchid. Okay, so we removed quite a few pieces, but quite a lot of them are still attached. Now the best thing to do is to soak the root system just to make it more flexible, but also to try to plump it up a little bit. If it increases in volume, the roots will start to detach on their own just slightly from the pieces of bark. And overall it's just going to be easier to remove the bark, but don't imagine it's going to be a piece of cake. Some pieces of bark are sometimes so thick that it's inevitable to damage the roots. Okay, so I've cleaned up my Vanda orchid roots. I also sprayed some hydrogen peroxide. Usually with Vandas, you won't really find snails because they are kept bare rooted. This, on the other hand, was potted in bark, so I sprayed hydrogen peroxide just to be safe. You never know. And I have to say, I'm not a fan of removing Vanda roots from bark. They attach really badly, and I always feel sad. But these roots are very strong. If you manage to snap one, don't worry, let it be. It will not die necessarily. It can hang on and continue to grow or branch out. So if you by chance snap a Vanda root but it's still attached, let it be. It might actually survive. So what I chose here is a 15 centimeter pot. It's one size bigger than the standard orchid pot, let's say, that usually you find orchids in on the market. And it's quite a nice fit for my Vanda roots. I know these roots will start to grow like Mentos, so I want them to have some space. I don't want them to be too crowded. So I think this will be okay. And oh, okay, I thought my Vanda was stable, but she's not. So I'll let her be at the moment and put the hook, and if she doesn't stabilize together with the hook, I'm gonna show you how I like to stabilize my Vandas. But before we put the hook, or actually the hanger, let's put some microfiber. So I've got some microfiber pieces here, and all I'm gonna do is just try to put them around the roots and inside the roots, in between the roots. The purpose of the microfiber is just to maintain humidity for longer, especially now that it's summer. This helps a lot my Vandas, and I don't need to water them every day actually. And being that this Vanda doesn't necessarily have the biggest root system you've ever seen, this will help her quite a lot. I'm not actually sure if at any point in their lives when the roots will be very, very long, if my Vandas will actually not need the microfiber, but I'm curious to see. Right now though, it helps a lot with retaining humidity. Alrighty, now that that's done, it's time to put the hook. Alrighty, so I have here a green hook. I have to say I like them more than the brown ones, but I don't know where to find them. I don't even remember where I purchased them from. Some are in Romania, but I just don't know from where. And I don't really know if I can find these anymore. So you can see they don't have that twisty thing that usually the brown ones have. Anyway, so here's what I'm talking about stabilizing with the hook. If you can see, I kind of arrange my hanger such as to support one set of leaves from one side and the other set of leaves on the other side. Therefore, the stem cannot go anywhere front and back. It can only move sideways, but I don't really have issues with the orchid falling sideways. My issue was with the front and back. Now, if this wouldn't have fixed it, what I would do is just tie the stem to one of the ventilation holes, and that's exactly what I did with the other one. Let me just bring it back so I can show you. Okay, there we go. So because this one is just a seedling, and also I opted for a pretty white pot or basket, the technique with the hanger wouldn't have worked. What I did instead was simply tie the stem, and I went as low as possible around the root system. So tie the stem or the axis to the actual ventilation holes, and I used some raffia tape. Raffia tape doesn't retain water, so my stem will not be wet, and it doesn't really degrade all that fast, so this should last me for quite a lot of time. And as you can see, my little orchid is very stable. I stabilized it in 3 points because it would have the tendency to go everywhere, and it appears to be working just fine. So all that's left to do right now is to hang this orchid. I want to cut this flower spike as well. Give me a second. There we go. It's in the way. I just know that dry flower spike will start to get tangled in my sheer curtain, so that's why I wanted to cut it. Alrighty, so now let's see where she will reside. And there she is. Can you recognize which one it is? I'll tell you, the biggest one. It is this one. Now, I knew she was big, but in comparison to the other vandas, I just now see how wide this orchid is. That's the Pachara. In comparison to the Pachara, which we all know, quite a big orchid. It's a big orchid, you guys. Anyway, but I'm super excited to have it, obviously. And there we go, another orchid crossed from the wish list. Thank you so much, Jessica. It's a wonderful gift. I can't believe you found it at a mature size. So these were the 3 species that I absolutely wanted to have. There is a hybrid that I kind of want to have, is the Mimi Palmer, but I have a hybrid of hers. It's this one right here. Got it as a young plant. It's grown a lot. Ever since I purchased it in October, it has grown quite a few big leaves, so I'm pretty happy with her. So fingers crossed it does have the fragrance of the Mimi Palmer, but we'll see. Alrighty guys, now before I let you go, I just wanted to say you guys have left me quite the wonderful messages on my previous video, the Monday one with the disaster in my greenhouse. I'm still working on it, not yet done if you can believe it. And that's because I needed to repot some of the orchids. The dust was just deep inside their pots, and there was really no way out of it. I needed to repot them, but they're there. As you can see, some of them have gone directly into semi-hydro, some of them not. But anyway, what I wanted to tell you, you are so sweet. Thank you so much for all of the messages and the support and all of the wonderful things you told me. I don't want to say I didn't expect this reaction because I know you're all wonderful, but it really did warm my heart, really. So I just wanted to say thank you for all of your kind words. And regarding the days off, some of you would like them to be in the middle of the week, some of you in the weekends. Yeah, it's depends what everybody's doing, but I have to say, I think for me it's better in the middle of the week, because in the weekend my boyfriend is home and he tends to sleep late, and I cannot vacuum and do stuff in the morning or make noises in the morning, which I kind of tend to do when I have chores to do. But in the middle of the week he's not at home, so I can do all of my stuff in the middle of the week, pre-record also the videos and post them in the weekends. So this week has been Tuesday and Wednesday. I'm not yet decided if it's gonna be Wednesday and Thursday or Tuesday and Wednesday. I don't know. Middle of the week anyway. So yeah, I think this will work out pretty great. Alrighty guys, thank you so much for watching. You know the drill. If you've enjoyed this video, give it a like. And if you'd like to watch other orchid videos from me and stay up to date, simply subscribe to my channel. I post on a regular basis 5 times a week. So don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. And with that said, I'll see you all next time. Bye!